Previously on the recap sequence.
Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of the recap sequence. We are back with part two of our Marvel roundup with Brent. Like I said, it's been a while. In our last episode, we were talking about it's been a bit of a break from.
It has been.
I don't think we had talked to Brent since the summer, so it's great to reconnect with him. Yep. Talk about Fantastic Four and Superman, and throw a little gentle shade at the Thunderbolts at the same time. it was a good chat. But we're back. We want to talk what's coming up.
What's coming up, but I've been waiting to talk to Brent, because Brent, I've got to ask you a question about 3 items that happened in 2025 and if they're going to tie in somewhere into 2026 or beyond. So I'm gonna throw them out to you here, and you tell me what Ironheart, Eyes of Wakanda, and Marvel Zombies, are any of these 3 hitting in the timelines, or are we?
Well, Ironheart introduces, if we can, we're probably going to be talking spoilers.
Absolutely,
in this episode,
go for it.
right?
Absolutely, yeah.
There's so much stuff, so much connectivity, so much stuff going on. So, starting with Ironheart, we are introduced to a rather significant, higher echelon character in the Marvel universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in this case with the introduction of Mephisto.
Finally.
You can be sure that is going to connect to some things in the coming future. Because we and here I'm already dovetailing.
That's fine. That's what this episode's all about.
We just recently here had announced that our showrunner, who had created the really terrific Werewolf by Night one-shot special on Disney Plus, is coming back to do a second one-shot Werewolf by Night special.
Oh wow!
So, with that implying, of course, that we have a continuing in this. Not just with Jack and Ted, as we know as the werewolf character and our Man-Thing character, and they're looking out for each other dynamic. But there's been, such a long-standing rumor about Marvel moving into the Midnight Suns, although it's never been officially confirmed. This idea, all this talk about, being able to move into something in that direction, with Agatha and our introduction to the Death character, which was wonderfully done. And so we're getting these players on the table. So, characters that we would have seen in the comics in Infinity Gauntlet and those related stories with Thanos, and, we've got Death on the table now. We've got, now we've got Mephisto. Could easily go and move that into a Midnight Suns. But here we are, like, what's that second Werewolf by Night? Probably in 2027, in October, likely, was where we'll see that. Will we be getting set up for Midnight Suns? Something more along that line. So Blade, 100%, because, Blade, Agatha herself. Agatha is considered is part of the Midnight Suns grouping and story, so we could see that connection there. Ghost Rider has been long rumored to be coming back in some fashion, so Moon Knight, is that where we'll see Moon Knight next in some type of creation of that? So I would say that the Mephisto link is the big one that coming out of Ironheart.
Okay. Eyes of Wakanda.
Eyes of Wakanda. I don't know yet. I'm not finished it.
Oh, okay.
So that one is still in my queue to wrap up. But so it remains to be seen on that one. Marvel Zombies is interesting because it continues the what if kind of notion of there's this world where this has taken place, and through the Watcher and his various heroes that he collects together to kind of help keep the multiverse rolling along, you know, we get a peek at a world that, if we look at the Secret Wars story that's coming forward, and if we look at the Hickman version of that story, well, Battle World in that comic story took advantage of some interesting different worlds. The notion with Battle World in the comics, of course, this isn't really a spoiler because it's going back many decades, but the idea of that there were these pieces of worlds that all came together and formed one planet, where the Beyonder had this power to do this, and he created this Battle World, and that's where he hosted the battle between Marvel's heroes of Earth and the villains, including characters like Doctor Doom, Ultron, Galactus, Kang, these core characters that we've been introduced to in the MCU. But in the more modern Hickman take on Secret Wars, we had those pieces of worlds included really interesting worlds, like the Age of Ultron world, where Ultron had taken over. And so you've got a segment of this world where it's all these Ultron robots. Well, what are we moving into here with Vision Quest in the coming year, which we can talk about? James Spader showing up as Ultron again. Oh, this could be interesting. And similarly, one of those pieces of worlds was the Marvel Zombies world. So we could very easily see, if they follow the books,
yeah,
they could pull from these worlds that we've been getting hints at in the What Ifs and in the animated series and in the live action, and we could very potentially see a connection to the Marvel Zombies world, well, just outside the segment where the heroes were in the Hickman Secret Wars.
And Marvel Zombies, the very first episode, gave us a sort of a treat, I guess you will, with the sort of Young Avengers team that was outrunning the zombie plague. With oh my gosh, Riri was one, Monica Rambeau, and oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Hawkeye's daughter, Hawkeye, I guess.
Yeah. So we have and we've been getting more and more, and that track of the MCU is continuing forward too. Like, we're gonna get hopefully a live action version of those Young Avengers.
Yeah.
That's been being teased for a long time, and I don't think that they're going to just rely on it showing up in the animated. Yeah. I'm positive that we're going to see the Young Avengers. We look what's coming up again. If we're talking Vision Quest, coming up this year.
No date yet. They're saying late 2026.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's not. We're not entirely sure where it's going to fall yet. But it's it's in production, and they're anticipating it. But where we got Billy, who was Wiccan, showing up and being introduced as far as Wanda's kids, Wanda's twins, showing up in the Agatha series. Well, we've got Tommy Speed, who's going to be showing up in this Vision Quest series. So for how many years now have we been being introduced to these young characters?
Yeah.
To just one at a time, with stature, with, we've got like Scott Lang's daughter, and our young Hawkeye, our the twins. We even got introduced to the Patriot, young Patriot in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, and they're all there. And we've even been hinted at the bringing together of all of these characters. We had a tease of these characters all coming together with young Kamala and in the Marvels movie. So they're going to make an appearance somewhere. We know that's going to be a part of it. We should expect to see that at the very least, probably in Doomsday, or in December of next year, or if not, we'll certainly probably see them in Secret Wars. I would guess we'd be seeing them in both.
What a long game! Like I gotta say, like I'm impatient, but I can't imagine the patience required in the writing rooms and the collaboration spaces of how these things happen. I'm just kind of reminded of too when we were just talking about Mephisto and Vision Quest and Wonder Man's coming out and stuff. Just the conversations we were having during WandaVision about these speculative things that could have to do with Mephisto.
Will we see these?
But none of it really came to fruition the way that we were all kind of like, maybe this is it. We're gonna. It just didn't happen, but it doesn't mean it won't. But it just gives you a bit of a sense of as eager as everybody is. There is a plan, and maybe it's plan D or J at this point. But you don't know. But they have all these entry points, and they have, like you said, they've been queuing up a Young Avengers forever.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that. But wow, you can't make the mistake that they made with Stranger Things and have them as middle-aged Young Avengers, though. That's that you gotta strike while the youth is still there.
That's true.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So in 2026 right now, they've got 4 set on the dates and everything. The first one, Brent, is Wonder Man starting January 27th. What have you thought of what are your thoughts so far of what you've seen, what they've put out there?
The most recent trailer that they used to kind of announce that they were going to push this ahead into supposed to be December, right?
Right.
But it got pushed into the new year to avoid the
Stranger
glut
Things,
of Christmas things, all the Christmas stuff.
Yeah.
They wanted to be able to have it stand on its own a little bit. This one is a little strange in that I don't know what sort of connections we can expect from this one. We know that we have a connection with Trevor Slattery, and in the movie or in the comics, Simon Williams as Wonder Man does take a time he is an actor in Hollywood for a while. This show isn't exactly telling us the story of Wonder Man. This seems to be maybe a commentary, about the way things are in Hollywood right now and its relationship with fandom. And Marvel is, yes, in a unique position to be able to comment on that because they've been dealing with the fandom. They have one of the biggest fandoms, in the world. And they've been making movies for this fandom. So for them to be able to do a little series that does a little commentary, and look what they have cast and they have race swapped potentially a character into the Wonder Man, classic comic known character of Wonder Man. And so you have a couple of people. You've got Trevor Slattery. You have our, we have our, what's his name again? I've just blanked on our, the actor who's playing, who's looking to play the role of Wonder Man as well. So it looks like they're going to be able to kind of have this kind of silly, show where it's a sort of a take on Hollywood.
Right.
What I did like, again, I'm a Marvel fan, so I have been reading Simon Williams stories since I was 5 years old, and for many people that's like 5 decades, just so you know. So that's a long time.
Yeah.
So I know this character very well, and he's such an integral part to the Ultron story, to Wanda and Vision, to the Avengers, to Tony Stark. This is a character that is ingrained, and this is someone that as a reader. This is someone that you've known for decades and decades. And so now, they showed us that version of that character as being sort of the subject of a classic, sort of an old TV series, like a Star Trek level, original series, Star Trek 60s level show where the Wonder Man hero character looks like Wonder Man out of the comic books. That's and not only that, the original one with the kind of green and red costume, very kind of colorful. It's like, hey, that's Wonder Man. So it seems like their take on this is going to be lean into that old classic Wonder Man, but now this show is about doing a refreshed, modernized take on what was a classic, well-known character. So that seems to be more the story than really, are we going to get any connections to the rest of the MCU with this? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't even know how that would look. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to do that, or if this is just them taking the opportunity to do a fun little story, hopefully, just like sort of a tongue-in-cheek take on just the state of things, the state of fandom, the state of Hollywood, the state of making these shows. So we're going to see in January just what the heck this one's going to be all about. I would love it if this connected to Vision Quest. I would love it.
Yeah.
But I don't have any hopes that's going to happen. I would love to be surprised and to see some connections happen there.
And then, of course, following that, Brent, March 4th, Daredevil Born Again Season 2 comes out. We're getting the returning Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones, and we already know that the Punisher will be reprising in there. And sometime in 26, they're saying Punisher special's coming. So,
well, so we've kind of had confirmed recently that Punisher's not actually supposed to show up in Season 2.
Okay.
But where we know the Punisher is showing up
is in July
in Spider-Man. And then we also know we have this one-shot special that's happening this year of the Punisher. So again, Marvel playing the long game. They set us up with, Frank Castle still a thing. And boy, can he ever jump back into this role.
Yeah.
And just be Frank Castle. John Barenthal is just Frank Castle is just,
yes, he is.
It's just amazing, And so season 1 of Daredevil was kind of getting that world back in. It had the challenges of trying to pick up the pieces from the Netflix series and create its own thing. So the tone's a little bit different. But, they established their story, and they established some really cool things with moving the story forward with the Kingpin. Mm-hmm. And like you say, we were, Jessica Jones, very cool, and Bullseye returning, of course. So we're expecting to get, let's see how they do here in Season 2 to really, where they establish themselves in Season 1. Let's see what they can do in Season 2, in setting themselves up in New York. Yeah. And let's see what those connections are like, because that when we're talking about Spider-Man in July and Brand New Day, there's some connections to talk about there.
Because there's more. Okay, so like Spider-Man, July 31st. This is going to be more of a boots on the ground sort of story, like in New York. This isn't going to be up in space or anything like that this time.
Well, we think so. There depends on look, we have Sadie Sink is an actress whose role hasn't been confirmed, and there's speculation about whether her whether she's playing like a Madeline Pryor, Jean Grey type of character that may tie off into X-Men, or is she supposed to be Mayday Parker, who's the child of Spider-Man and another MJ so that would bring the multiverse back into play.
Yeah.
So will we get some of that? But the rest of it does, on its surface, really seem like New York, like you say, street level. Look, we know we've got Tombstone in this
Punisher,
right? We know we've got Punisher in this. Those two things alone say a lot. Okay, this is a New York street level story.
The recap sequence will return after these messages.
Hey, this is Jamie.
And this is Ryan.
And we're the Recap Sequence.
Be sure to tune in to us every Wednesday night on CHSR 97.9 FM or online at chsrfm.ca at 7 p.m. Atlantic, 6 p.m. Eastern.
And if you don't catch us live, you can catch our podcast on Spotify, on Amazon, anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. And we also have a YouTube channel you may have been watching. And if not, you should be. Catch us on YouTube at Recap Sequence. So
And subscribe.
Subscribe, yeah, please.
We now return to the recap sequence.
We potentially have an appearance from Matt Murdock, at least Matt Murdock, maybe even Daredevil. We potentially have, will they make a connection to the Kingpin with what they're doing in the status quo that was established in Daredevil season 1 is really important. This notion that Mayor Fisk is out for costumed characters. Wow, doesn't that ever fit perfectly with what a Spider-Man story would be linking right into? So you only can hope that that they're going to tie that right in really nicely. If that continues in Daredevil season 2, and then that moves into, which clearly is happening, is moving right into like Spider-Man in July. The connections with the Hulk. We know we've got the Hulk showing up in some fashion in this movie. So again, bigger MCU stuff, connections going on in amongst this street level stuff. So they've got themselves set up for something that feels super Marvel.
Yeah.
But we, it's going to be fun to see just how big the connections are going to be as it moves into the Avengers movies coming up.
So all of this discussion here in the first 20 minutes or so will probably be moot, because as of December 19th, I think the internet will get broken when the trailer for Avengers finally drops on the new Avatar film, which is released on December 19th. They've said that's when the first one's going to get. I think at this point, Brent, at that point, everyone's going to forget about everything else because this is what everybody's been waiting for.
Well, and in a way, you're right. But they've got to get through all that other stuff's going to come first.
Yeah.
So that's all going to be kind of stepping in the way of that waiting, while we move ourselves towards that December date. But boy, the cast, the list of the cast for Doomsday and
that we
Secret
know
Wars
of.
is astronomical. It's just such a huge list of characters, including the Fantastic Four coming out of FF with Galactus. Go ahead.
Do you think that this trailer that we're all we're talking about right now in December, do you think it there's a potential it may not live up to its own hype? The only reason I ask that is because I think there was a little bit of an expectation that this connection, we might see a little bit more of a connection, other than Doctor Doom, obviously, from Fantastic Four to this whole reason why at the end of Thunderbolts they show Fantastic Four careening through the galaxy, and that's so we didn't get any. I mean, we got one tiny tidbit, but I worry that I'll go to Avatar, which I don't want to go to see this trailer, and it'll be just short, and you want to leave people wanting more. You don't want to give them too much, but is there the potential here that we're expecting to see more than we might actually see?
No, I think it's more about people are excited. I go back to the Daredevil Wolverine thing where the first trailer they showed was all Deadpool until that shadow at the end when the claws came out, right? So you got we know Wolverine's in it, boom, there's the first trailer. But I think everything else that we're going to see, I don't know about Wonder Man, maybe. Daredevil will probably be more the Spider-Man, but I think each one's going to slowly build towards Doomsday.
Yeah, that's, again, something that's going to be really interesting to see. Marvel needs this to be huge. Huge, like billion-dollar hit, huge. Again, they need this. This is the mechanism that they're trying to get back to that level of what they were used to with the first, the first section of the of their movies. They want to recapture that. So strategically, how do they do that? Well, they are, they know that that things got complicated for them in a lot of the multiverse saga stories, and not everybody was on board and following everything anymore, because it didn't have that straight through line of, you're watching this movie because this is the next part of the story. We love this. We move to the next one. It's the next part of the story. We love this. There was a bunch of kind of stuff that felt a little bit, after the aftermath, but not seeing clearly where things were going. We know that they're going somewhere. Well, this is where they have the opportunity to start showing us we're going somewhere. So will this trailer show the Fox X-Men in it? Will this trailer show the Fantastic Four? Will it show multiple teams of Avengers? Maybe even the team of Young Avengers as a third option in there. Will they start to tease the magnitude of what you're getting into in order to, and if that's their strategy, that's the mechanism that they're going to get all those butts and seats again, I could easily see them taking that approach. They could take that angle. Or will they try to tease you into story? Will some of these characters, will Battleworld be teased, or in this case it's Doom? They have to establish Doom. This story is about Doctor Doom and why they chose to pull him in, and in at this moment. So Secret Wars is going to be a big massive thing. Doomsday needs to be a big massive thing. Is this, will we be getting Battleworld before the actual Secret Wars movie? Is it kind of like a two-part thing? And this first one is kind of establishing Doom, whereas at one point it was establishing Kang. Well, this might be establish these characters, establish the villains even, put Galactus on the table in the proper MCU in the 616, put Kang back on the table, put Doom back on the table, put Ultron back on the table. You might have all of these things that we're stepping through to get to that December Vision Quest with Ultron. We might be getting, like Fantastic Four just did for us with Galactus. It's getting a reminder of all these characters, and then all of a sudden, they're appearing, and the heroes need to do something about it. And Doom is in there taking advantage of this situation. Or as a major player in this situation, that is what we're going to see. What's the context for all this? So yeah, I can't wait to see what they do, but they got to go big.
Is this the part that intrigues you the most, though, is the fact that other than we know it's Robert Downey Jr. playing the role of Victor Von Doom, the only snippet we've had is that after credits scene from the Fantastic Four, and we're now a year until Doomsday, and that's all we've had. Or is that where you're like mostly intrigued as to how they're going to roll this out with him?
Yeah, and sort of, I think, they have needed to look. Robert Downey Jr. being back in the Marvel universe, there was no way they were keeping that under wraps.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to happen. So they got ahead of it, and they have shown us this. And for that matter, who knows? They've been talking about this, but is there a possibility that they could be
swerving?
Could swerve on us? Yeah. Sure there is. However, we did not see his face.
No.
But they have as much as said that, and if we take them at their word, uh, regardless, they have to establish Doom
Yeah.
as being someone that is going to be extremely important and that they can't screw up. And this particular take of Doom has everyone scratching their heads.
Yeah.
What do you mean, Tony Stark, the guy that we've known as Tony Stark through the whole MCU experience, is now suddenly Doctor Doom? All of the fans are like, what? That doesn't make sense. So we don't know the context of how that's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a variant of Tony Stark in another universe where
Is this Doom from another universe?
right? So what's the connection?
Yeah.
You know darn well that there's going to be a connection to Tony Stark and Iron Man.
So
From all the characters that we've known and cared about for so long, you know darn well that there's going to be a connection there.
yeah.
Or they wouldn't have cast him, as that. So what the heck are they doing there? We have to wait and find out. But yeah, like I think they just were playing. Look, we've got to get this out there. Doom's really important. We got to let the audience know something's up. So that they'll leave us alone to be able to go and create something
Yeah.
and not go into like speculation territory and kind of ruin the momentum, their own momentum, which we know can happen these days, right? If you set expectations in the wrong place, you're going to create a scenario where you're disappointing,
Yeah.
you're potentially dividing or disappointing.
It's a dangerous
your audience.
gamble. Yeah. This is something that people really have to get on board with. I'm not even sure what I think of it. I mean, I love Robert Downey Jr., but I'm not sure how I feel about having Robert Downey Jr. as Doom and playing somebody that has maybe no connection at all to the Tony Stark that we know, like no recall, and it's so frustrating, right? And so it's I don't know. That's very interesting how they do it, because you can't just say, oh, he's just Victor Von Doom just happens to look like Tony Stark in another universe. I'm not going to buy that. I'm not going to buy that.
Exactly.
It's going to be not plausible. So there's got to be something. Is there, when the snap had something happened to make this happen, or Tony Stark has a completely different origin in a different universe, and is second fiddle to Reed Richards, and has just got some kind of weird complex. Who knows?
I think the thing is this is all in the hands of the Russo brothers, who gave us Infinity War and Endgame. And gave us stuff on trailers that was completely misleading that never happened in the films. So I'm ready to sit back with my Doctor Doom popcorn bowl, hopefully, and enjoy this show a year from now. So
I'll enjoy it. I have less invested as sort of a like carefree observer for the most part. Like I get sucked in for sure, but I don't have the depth of the kind of the literature to go. We can't do that. But for me, just from a cinematic approach to bringing an actor back, you better have a really good reason for this. It can't just go the soap opera route. Like it can't just be and it's just happened. I had facial reconstruction surgery to look like like Tony Stark or something dumb like that. It's gotta be, you gotta have a really good plausible, for the people that came in at my stage of becoming a Marvel fan. I think too, it's not just the people that have been reading the books, that there's a lot at stake as far as their expectations, people that follow all of the storylines. But for somebody like me who came in at a much later kind of phase in these stories, I gotta believe it too.
I think what it comes down to is there's two things. People are very curious about the Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., Doctor Doom side. But I think the other thing is the full introduction of the X-Men franchise with Sir Patrick Stewart, Sir Ian McKellen, Hugh Jackman, all of these guys. We're going to get to see them basically on the same playground as all of these other characters that we have been growing up with over these last 5 phases.
Yeah.
Yeah, the X connection is obviously where they're going next, and they're banking a lot on the popularity of the X-Men. We've seen, and often is the case, we see the books kind of reflect where the movies are have gone or are going. We've got a big X-Men event happening right now, and have been the last couple of years. Um, with Halifax writer, Jed McKay, kind of right in there.
Yep.
In the heat of all of this story that they're teasing out. But yeah, like, so I mean, and the X-Men 97.
Yeah, so that's slated apparently for next year. They've not said when, but I would expect they would want that out.
That one's in the summer.
Is it?
In the
Okay.
summer.
Summer of 26 then.
Yeah, the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man season 2 is in the fall.
Okay.
And the season 2 of X-Men 97 is in the summer.
So Brent, let me ask you then.
More specific than that.
Sorry, let me just ask you then real quick. Is this, we've talked about this, we talked about this a couple of years ago. Does this suddenly seem like Marvel again putting too much out there for us next year?
It's a big year, but then they have, the following year is a lot more empty at this stage. So this year wasn't super packed either. But we did, we got a couple of good things, but next year is going to be pretty packed. So is this what we have to expect? They're going to be sort of dry years, and then years where there's years of plenty. We'll have to see. But it seems like there's a lot, and maybe they're just leaving room for things to kind of push forward a little bit. Maybe some of those things will push forward, but they are trying to get this stuff in and established to tease and get people excited, like that X-Men. That first season of the X-Men animated series was hugely popular.
Yeah.
Especially for folks that were familiar with the original, anime. A lot of fans came out of that original X-Men cartoon from back in the 90s, and they loved this follow-up, and so are they building a resurgence of X in the MCU to kind of get that momentum going so that they can launch the new X-Men? What are they, surely they're not going to have Patrick Stewart's Professor X in the new X-Men movie. This post-Secret Wars is supposed to be the cutoff point where, okay, this is where the slate is in some fashion wiped clean, and then they have the ability to start fresh with new franchises, where one of the first things we will see is an X-Men movie.
Well, I look forward to bringing one of my grandkids to it at this point. So that's where things are trending. But sure,
you get the seniors discount.
In my lifetime, I'll certainly get to see it. What a time to be alive! But my goodness, I've gone many shades of gray since the MCU first became a thing. So I again, we talk about this long game and setting things up. I mean, to get to this point, that's a lot of. But I mean, I don't know. You as fans of things, you just want to consume, and it takes a long time to build a city, even, it's a lot of stuff. So yeah, it's kudos to the writers and the producers for hopefully taking their time with this. But man, I hope I live as long as I need to get this finished.
It's a unique opportunity and a unique thing. Like, there hasn't really been anything like this before to this capacity. Like, a couple decades ago, no one would have been able to have imagined. What do you mean a number of 30 some movies that all interconnected to tell a greater story? That wasn't even possible.
Yeah.
To think about, let alone, being able to continue it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is what the comics world is, and what comics fans have known for a long, long time, right? Is that this is a world, and all of this, connectivity is a part of that greater story.
Yeah.
So, kudos on, like you say, well done.
Yes.
for them to have established that.
Well,
you know,
look,
and,
that's a fantastic note to end on as we're getting down to the last minute of our time here. You know,
2025.
Yeah, of 2025. Good job, Marvel. We're back. There was a skid, I think, but I think we're fully recovered and looking forward to the future. So, looking forward to many more chats like this, Brent. We've got lots of stuff coming up in 2026. So, keep your calendar open.
Yeah.
We'll be calling.
sounds good, guys.